All right, and it says we are live, so here we go. Wanted to come on here today before I kick off for the rest of the day and talk a little bit about the episode that just dropped yesterday on the Jamming with Jason podcast. Now, what you might not realize is actually, a lot of people are talking about return to work. Do we force employees to come back to work? Do we do some sort of hybrid schedule? What do we do? And you've got companies wishy-washy back and forth. No, you can work from home. No, you have to come into the office. Right? And this is causing a lot of stress in people's life, right? Because again, for about the last year and a half, a lot of people have been used to working from home, and a lot of them actually really enjoy it. And so when pushed to having to go back to the office, it's driving stress levels up like crazy along a lot of employees. And what I'll tell you is in this episode, about how cognitive biases are affecting return to work with Dr. Gleb Tsipursky. Gleb has actually done a bunch of research on what companies have actually been doing, what the data is actually saying. And again, one of Gleb's expertises is on cognitive biases. Now, what's a cognitive bias? Well, a cognitive bias is one of those things. There's a lot of different names of particular cognitive biases, but effectively it's unconscious biases usually that we have that affect the cognitive ability to make a decision. Okay. And it's because of a lot of these false beliefs that we tend to end up making some bad decisions because we think we know more necessarily than we do. And it's because we're relying on false data or on false information to make our decisions. And in fact, this affects most everybody in the world, but it's especially hard, right, when it's leaders of multinational, multi-billion-dollar companies, because then it ends up costing billions of dollars. So let me give you an example. And like I said, go check out the the podcast this week. There we go. Hello. Which is actually out at jasonmefford.com/jamming with Jason. You can find it there and actually listen to the whole thing because it's about 45 or 50 minutes. And I don't quite do it all justice talking about it right here, but just wanted to share some information with you because what you probably don't realize is the numbers are pretty alarming, right? Like if 50% of people are choosing or will not go back to work if they're forced to go back into the office every day, okay? That's huge, right? So some people are calling about the great resignation or other things like that, but these are some serious things that we have to deal with that we talk about in the episode. Now, another one, so just to kind of, go on and share a little bit about the cognitive biases, right, is, for example, a lot of leaders believe, falsely, but they believe that employees work better and are more productive when they are in the office. Now, that's a belief or a bias that a lot of leaders have, right? Because they think, well, I can't trust my people if they're at home, if I can't, manage and micromanage them and make sure that they're actually doing their work, then stuff's not going to get done, right? They're going to get up, they're going to go do the laundry, they're going to mow the lawn, they're going to do all this other stuff. They're going to tell me they did all this work, but they didn't actually do the work. Well, that's a belief. It's a false belief that a lot of leaders have because actually when you look at the data, guess what? Actually, people working from home are more productive. They put in more hours actually than they do in the office. Now, again, you might not realize that, you might not believe it, but again, listen to the episode. Gleb's got the information in there. There's also a link to go to be able to get his book, where he actually did a metadata analysis on a lot of different studies that are out there that actually have the real data. Okay. And so, his whole point is look at the data. Don't just make decisions without the data. Look at it, see what it's actually really telling you, because a lot of times the data ends up, showing us that some of these beliefs that we have are not actually true. So, like I said, in that instance, there's a lot of leaders, a lot of managers who think, hey, I've got to have my people at work all the time. Now, what we know from some different engagement surveys and other stuff that have been done before is at most, okay, and this is going to shock you, at most, employees in the office are only actually working 40 to 50% of the time that they're in the office. Did you know that? Crazy. Okay. So, what it means is all of these leaders who think I need to have my people in the office because they're going to be more productive, they're going to get more stuff done. Actually, they are less productive in the office with the manager or the leader looking over their shoulder than they are actually at home. Okay, so the productivity efficiency is actually higher working from home. And here's the other kicker: people who work from home tend to work about 10% more than they would in the office because they don't have that commute time. A lot of people have an hour or 2 hour commute each way to the office. And so they look at it and think, hey, normally I was spending 3 hours in the car to go to my job. I can give them an extra hour from at home because I don't have that. I'm still 2 hours ahead of where I was. So again, the interesting thing is, and you got to listen to this episode to really understand and hear some of the data directly from Gleb that's also in his book, because again, as I said, it's pretty crazy, some of the information that is out there. So go out, you can find it jasonmefford.com/jamming with Jason. But I was actually blown away as well. I knew some of the information because I do a lot of research in this particular area too, but was quite shocked. So what does that mean? Again, is, well, if you're a leader, if you're an owner of a company, maybe it's time to start really thinking about how we do things differently. Maybe we don't need to have people come into the office. Maybe they can do a lot of their work from home. Maybe a hybrid schedule is going to be the better option because, again, maybe people come in 2 days a week, but they're allowed to be remote for another 3 days. So, again, some of the things to consider: where work can be done, right? Because there's a lot of jobs today that don't have to be done in a physical business structure, that being an office or even sometimes a retail store or other places like that. Okay, so that's kind of the one thing to think about. Another one for you, if you're an employee, it's, hey, you know what? If you don't want to go back to the office, there's a lot of other people that don't want to go back to the office too. So you're not crazy. This is, again, it's a trend that has been going on now for a little while. We've yet to see where it's going to tail out. But again, you've already proven to your employer probably for the last year and a half that you can do this. So why can't you do it going forward as well, right? It's another thing to consider. Another one is, maybe it's time to quit paying people necessarily by the hour or by the day and instead pay them based on performance. So what does that look like? Well, a lot of times we would pay people, I'm using general numbers here, but 40 hours in the US, standard full time. So I pay people a salary for them to show up at the office 40 hours a week. They do a certain level of work that equates to about 20 hours of real work. Okay. Well, do we need to pay people for showing up for 40 hours, or do we need to pay them for the 20 hours of productive work that was actually done? Okay. Because again, this can be a big game changer. So again, imagine in HR, other groups are going to have to figure this out, but wouldn't it be fair if you have an employee who, let's say, is very good at what they do? They're very efficient. They can get their work done in 10 or 15 hours that would normally take other people 40 hours. So if that's the case, wouldn't it be fair to pay the person to only work 10 or 15 hours a week, the same as you're paying the people that are working 40 hours a week? I know it's a big paradigm shift, but if you're getting as much value and as much productivity out of the person only working 10 hours, wouldn't it be fair to pay them the same as if it takes other people longer to do it? I don't know, something to think about, right? So anyway, go check out the episode. Like I said, I was kind of floored with a lot of the information that's there. It comes from a book that Gleb just wrote, so that's hot off the presses as well. But you can catch most of the information on the podcast episode, and you can also get a link to download and purchase his book. So with that, I am going to end my day and go have some dinner. So enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on the next live.